Club member and a Success Club 10 All-Star legend of 92 months. Yeah, she is the founder of Set Your Soul on Fire. Meredith Canal is a 5-time elite coach, 9-star diamond coach, a Success Club 10 All-Star legend, and also a Legacy Club member and founder of Team Soul Warriors. Guys, take it away. We're so happy to have you on stage.
Okay, you guys are already so much more enthusiastic than the last room. Let's keep it up. Yes, it's always a competition. Okay, so today we're going to share with you an interactive workshop on how to share snippets of your life in an authentic way so that you can get really confident sharing your story. So be ready to do things, okay? Think and write and all that good stuff. So we're gonna stay awake today and high energy, right? Almost over, then you go home and apply everything you've learned or just a couple things so you don't get too overwhelmed, right? So how many of you in this audience feel like you do not know what to talk about on your social media? Okay, good. You're gonna learn a lot. How many of you feel like you have a lot to share, but you don't feel like anybody cares? Great. Been there. Don't worry. We'll take care of you today.
So prior to coaching, I was already working in wellness. I was teaching yoga full-time and had what felt like a zillion side hustles. On my busiest days, I'd be up before 5 a.m. and not get home until after 10 p.m. I spent my days pouring into others, so much so that I never had any energy to pour back into myself. How many of you can relate to that feeling? Yeah, so many of us. And so while our backgrounds are vastly different, the one thing we always connect over are our experiences and our feelings around those experiences. All of us know what it's like to struggle. We all know what it's like to feel frustrated. And we also know how fun it is to be excited about something or to feel like we're growing and to celebrate a victory. And that's why sharing your story is so important. It connects your audience to you, and it's a relationship kickstarter. It allows your audience to say, I get you, because either I am you, or we're a lot the same, but you're 2 steps ahead of me, so I aspire to be a little bit more like you.
But it's not always about sharing your big life story. It's more about sharing the little snippets or clips in day to day of kind of like a day in the life of what you go through daily. So what we're going to do today is we're going to empower you with the tools to be able to really share about your life authentically and passionately. When I was a new Beachbody coach, I fell into this trap of just doing what everybody else was doing. I started copying everybody else, even if they weren't successful, and just duplicating what everybody was doing. I was doing the sweaty selfies and the Flex Fridays, and it just wasn't feeling like me and really not authentic to who I am. So of course, I started to not like it. I started to feel a little slimy and weird, but instead of quitting, because that was not an option, I decided just to erase everything that I had learned or taught myself, and to start really trusting in my creative process and really just tapping into who I really am and sharing about what I wanted to talk about and not really thinking about anything before I really posted about it, just doing whatever I want. And that's when my business actually started to gain some traction, and that's also when I started to have more fun with the business. I was also not getting the best feedback from friends and family when I wasn't really being myself. And so when I started to really be myself, then I could really stand up for myself more, because you can't tell me I can't be who I want to be. And so it was more empowering. So today, we're going to share with you a 3-step process on how you can start to really step into your power and your true self. We're going to share with you how to differentiate your old normal from your explosion to your new normal, and how to put it in a post and really execute that on your social media. Sound good?
Okay, so this first exercise is going to be on your old normal. And your old normal for this is you before Beachbody or before Beachbody coaching. It's the struggles, the frustrations, the pain points in your life that led you to a desire to want transformation. And it's not just the experiences, but it's the feelings associated with those experiences. It's the fears, it's the stresses, it's the struggles, it's all of the pain points. For me, I was 37 years old. I was already pursuing my passions in wellness, but I was plateaued in my fitness and in my finances. Every time I felt like I was starting to get ahead in life, my 20-year-old car would break down, go to the shop, and clear out my bank account. I would become stressed about how I was going to get to work, if I was going to get to work, if someone would cover a class, and if I would get fired. On those long days that I worked and gave unto others, I would come home exhausted and numb myself with food or wine, which would inevitably leave me feeling exhausted, lethargic, disenchanted with myself, and I felt like a hypocrite because I was working in wellness, but I wasn't walking my talk. I needed desperately something that would inspire great change in me.
Anybody relate to that? Yeah? Great. And my experience was different, but of course I had my own feelings about my experiences that I was having. And when I really thought about my life back then, or when I think about my life back then, I was living in a tiny 500 square foot studio apartment. You can see a picture there. I was supposed to be pursuing my dreams. So she had found her passion. I was still trying to find mine, but I thought I had found it. I was going to go to art school, and I moved to San Francisco with the love of my life. And from the outside looking in, I really projected this like college dream when it really was not a dream. It was a huge struggle. I could barely pay my bills. I was burying myself in college debt, credit card debt, and I was really self-conscious, insecure about my body, about myself, about everything that I was doing, and it just felt like I was doing all the right things, but things just felt like it kept getting worse. How many of you have felt like you were doing all the right things, but it just didn't seem to be working or getting worse or you're not going anywhere? So that's us connecting, and so by me sharing that, it's not like saying anything negative about anything, it's just sharing my story. And I'm entitled to share my story so that people can connect with me and so that you can connect with me better. So, my old normal is more about those experiences that I was having before I found Beachbody and then leading up to what happened because of it.
So we want to give you a minute to journal on your old normal. So a minute's going to go by fast, so get writing. But you want to think again about those experiences that led you to your desire to want a transformation, to want to change your life. The feelings, the fears, the stressors associated with those experiences.
Start writing, you guys. Got 1 minute, goes by fast. Good job, you guys. Keep writing. Just write down whatever. Keep going. 10 seconds. Okay. So, you pinpointed your old normal, some pain points, some feelings, but now we need to bring you to the solution. We need to bring our followers to the solution, and we have found the solution. We are here, the solution is now, and I'm going to share with you how my life started to change when I was introduced to Beachbody. So, just to be clear though, this is the catalyst. I think of the explosion as the catalyst. So Beachbody is the catalyst in my life for this example, because obviously we're at a Beachbody event, but the catalyst can be anything. So if you're like trying to think about other things to share, like your little snippets in your day-to-day life, your catalyst could be, I don't know, cutting out dairy, or quitting your job, or getting married, or having a baby, or getting pregnant, or simple things from your day-to-day, just choices you've made or first experiences you've had. So you're going to continue to have lots of firsts, and I'm sure you guys have had a lot of firsts while you've been here at Summit. So try to concentrate on your firsts while you've been here. I know you've had a lot of firsts probably today. Some of you first super workout, maybe first time meeting strangers from Instagram, first time being in a workshop like this. There's first time trying the collagen, right? So think about your first. I like to think about my first, like my first international trip out of the country that wasn't a Beachbody trip. My first Beachbody trip that was my first international trip. Meeting my first super trainer on that trip. My first trophy with Beachbody and everything in between. So try to think about those first. And after we hear from Meredith, we get to write about them.
I've had a lot of explosive moments with Team Beachbody. This is an explosion for me. 5.5 years ago, I was sitting there and wanted to be on stage speaking. My very first summit, though, was one of my biggest explosions. I remember meeting a woman with a ribbon on her lanyard that signified that she had found financial freedom through this opportunity. It's something I didn't even know existed. But it was in that definitive moment that I decided that was gonna be my story too. My first Success Club trip was another huge explosion for me. It actually happened before I went to Summit. It was the first time I met my sponsor coach face to face after having communicated for nearly a year online. It was the first time I saw how Beachbody creates their events and what they pour into their network. It was a new way that I would be able to speak to the coaching opportunity. And also, Unleash the Power Within, Tony Robbins, wasn't necessarily a Beachbody event. Has anybody been to it? It's incredible, yeah. It's so good. It's 50 hours of immersion, of personal development in 3 days. It's intense. But here's the thing. I would have never sought that out had it not been for Beachbody, and had it not been for my sponsor coach constantly pushing me past my self-limitations, constantly leaning into my excuses. So another explosion then is Beachbody gifting me a community that is constantly encouraging me to become a better version of myself.
So, we're going to give you a minute. I'm going to start it right now, so start writing. And we want you to list at least 5 experiences, transformations you've had since you found Beachbody. And I'm just going to start listing some things. Non-scale victory, new morning routine. Try to think like small everyday things too, not just huge life experiences.
Ten more seconds. Okay, so now we're on to our new normal. Our new normal is now. This is your new normal. It's your day-to-day status quo, and it's everything that's happened because of and since your explosion. It's how you show up in life now. It's what you do every day for your wellness. Maybe it's the foods you pick, or the choices you make, the products you buy. It's how you show up for other people. It's the personal development trajectory that you're on. It's the calls you get on, the community you surround yourself with. It's all of those things. It's like this 2.0 version of you, this person that you've become since your explosion and you're still continuing to become. This growth-oriented, forward-moving individual. And this is a really key part of your story because it allows your audience to visualize where they're going next if they follow your lead. So if you get really good at sharing your old normal, your explosion, and your new normal, you give your audience the opportunity to put themselves into your story. And when they can dream it for themselves, they know where to go to create change. For me, when I look at my Instagram now, it's almost in ways like I'm stepping into my vision board. And sure, I still struggle just as much as the next person, and I share all of that. But my struggles are different now, and how I handle them is different now. So the things I talk about daily, even in my struggles, is how I approach them, how I overcome them, where I'm going with my wellness, who I'm becoming, and where I'm going next.
And as we can see, the transformation from my life before to Beachbody is like night and day. It's definitely like one of those highlight reel Instagram accounts, except it's not a highlight reel, it's legit my life because of Beachbody. But I have worked so hard for this, you guys, and I also want to make it very clear that I'm going to be coach for 9 years. So this is like almost a decade, okay? So it's taken a lot of time, a lot of hard work, a lot of diligence, a lot of, yeah. And I also want to make it very clear to you, in case you suffer from comparison a little bit, that I don't talk about most of these squares. The one that I talk about the most is the bottom right now because I'm a new mom.
We can't see him.
There it is. Do you see it?
Cheers.
Bottom right. Do you see it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So all of that stuff, it's almost like when I got pregnant, all of the travel and the things and the accomplishments that I had prior to getting pregnant like don't even matter anymore. I had to like start over. And so my new normal constantly changes. And now my life from last year to this year, even my last 6 months since I've had my first child, is pretty much where I'm at right now. It's all I'm really talking about because that's what's relatable. That's what people can connect to. They're not going to connect to these like luxury vacations and stuff. They're going to connect to the real everyday things that I'm going through. But I wanted to show you this just because it's simply an evolution of my life. And it's still, again, my truth. And I can't be afraid to talk about all of it, even though it's not what I'm currently going through, because I want people to be able to see what's possible. And the whole point of us having a social media is to show people what's possible. Otherwise, I really don't see the point in posting on social media at all.
So we want to give you a minute to do your new normal, to journal on your new normal. So think of 5 experiences that you're living in right now because of the step you took with Team Beachbody, because of those explosions that you wrote about.
I agree. We just did that, didn't we?
Your explosion is your catalyst, the transformation. So your explosion is like you did a 60-day program and got a result, right? And your new normal is how you live now in that result. You don't fall back. You're not at day 1 again. This is the evolved 2.0 version of you that's going next level. Does that make more sense?
Oh, they probably put the wrong slide up. Is that good? So the new normal is where you're at now. So it's the old normal, the explosion, the new normal. So for example, like now your new normal is getting up every morning and working out. But because you found Beachbody, you started working out to begin with. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, well, let's just focus on, so if you did the new normal before, do the explosion now.
Yeah, really simple, you guys. So old normal is Pain points, struggle, what led you to seeking transformation? Explosion is what happened when you started to transform. What were you introduced to? What were your first moments that fired you up, that created that change? And your new normal is you living in that change now, and you continuing to grow through it.
Just gonna go back really quick just to make sure you guys see all these. You saw the old normal,
Yeah.
the explosion,
No. We didn't.
and the new normal.
We didn't see the explosion slide. Yes, we did.
Sorry about that.
Yes, we did.
We have the slides up here, and they're populating for us.
I'm sure that the slides will be up for you guys after this. So, and remember, like, this is an evolution. If you feel stuck right now, you'll be able to work on it later. So now you have an idea of your new normal, your explosion, and your new normal, or your old normal, your explosion. Now I'm getting confused, and your new normal. So the question is, how often do you share your story? So, for example, like your summit story. I'm not going to share about my summit story when I'm on a vacation. I'm going to share about my summit story when I'm at summit. So this is something that I share every year. And we're going to give you an opportunity to do this later so you can get into action. So you got to ask yourself, when you're putting together your storyline, what is the purpose or the goal? So let's say you're talking about Summit and you're sharing about your experience. You're sharing about one of the firsts you had in your explosion experience. So you had a first today, you worked out with 25,000 people. Why are you posting about that? What is the purpose? What is the point? So the questions that you should be asking and talking about should be giving them a call to action. So the whole point of sharing about that is to share about the community. That 10-star story today on stage, she wanted to join Beachbody because of the community, right? So you gotta talk about the community. Maybe the call to action is about joining your team and your family or the business or being like whatever you want it to be, but you have to have a point to the post. You can't just post about Summit and be like, I'm at Summit, because they don't really know why you're posting about that or what the point of it is.
I have a question. Okay, I have a question just real quick. So out of that, like if I looked at that and that was on Instagram, I would go, oh my gosh, that's way too much to read because I would just scroll through that. That's what I'm concerned with posting those type of things on Instagram with it being so long. So how do you change that so you still get all that information, but it's easier to not be so overwhelming to read? Do you see what I'm saying?
Well, the point is that you want people to read it. So you're not gonna, like I said earlier, you're not gonna post like your big transformation story all the time. So the point, like people have to read it. Obviously, like for you to do the post, you have to just start doing it. Like you have to feel confident. I know you've probably heard training before that say like, oh, you have to build your, your social media following, and they have to like love you before you talk. But you have to start. That's the whole point. Like Rachel Hollis said, it's about getting into action. You have to start practicing. The only way to become an expert is by doing. So while you may think it's too long, you may think nobody's going to read it, that doesn't matter. You have to still do it. Because otherwise you're never going to get good at it. And people read this. That's why I'm showing it to you. I want to be teaching it to you, but I didn't think it was helpful. But that's how you're going to build the confidence. You will never build confidence by thinking about your posts. You will build confidence by doing this. And we're sharing with you exactly how we do it. So you got to take that, that thinking out of it, and you just got to start practicing. Because in order for you to get good at this, you're going to have to practice. And we're going to give you an opportunity later. So just hold out for that.
So we wanted to share how we share our stories and take those examples that we had you jot down, all those experiences, and put them together for us. And sometimes they are longer posts, and sometimes they're really short. So it doesn't have to be a long post. And you'll find some people, I'm a long-winded person, so a lot of my posts are long-winded. And then there's other people that aren't, and they're really tight. So the one on the left with my arm up, if you have the right slider, the one on the left with my arm up, this is me and my 2.0 self, my new normal, talking about a struggle and how I'm overcoming that struggle. I talk about too many vacations, falling off great habits, not feeling 100, and how I got up one day and said no more, drew a line in the sand, pulled out my food journal, and started over. I invite people to do that with me and offer a call to action. So I relate to them with that old normal My second one, the middle one, speaks to my niche market, my yoga teacher. And ironically, the text isn't actually about yoga. It's about nutrition and my why for coaching. And I offer an invitation to join a sneak peek. And in the far side, really short text. There's probably 2 or 3 sentences here. And it's not my story. It's a snippet about one of my coaches who joined my team and lost close to 20 pounds. It validates me as a coach, but it gives my audience an opportunity to visualize, what if I take that next step with her? Maybe that'll be my outcome. And I offer a call to action to join my boot camp.
And Ashley and Emily's training today was very similar to what I'm sharing with you today. They shared with you, how they post about their lives. And for me, this is how I share that I'm a Beachbody coach. This is how I do it. That's fitness, that's business, that's lifestyle and health and all the stuff in between, all the other stuff that I talk about as well. But I'm not necessarily putting Beachbody forward. I'm putting myself forward, my life, the way I want to share, what feels good to me, and what I think is an attractive photo and how I'm going to share. It's very different than what you're going to see other people doing. Just like what she shares is so different than what I do. But that's the point, is that you have to really, those before photos from 2013 that they shared today at general session, my before photos look very similar to theirs if you scroll all the way down to 2013. So this is an evolution, and it takes time and practice, but the text that I'm putting with these photos is either a call to action or connecting to my audience, giving them a reason to be reading this, because I want them to do something with these posts. I'm not just sharing just to post about how I feel that day. I'm sharing the post because I want them to do something with these posts. So this is how I authentically share about my life as a coach.
So one of the things that's helped me know what kind of story I want to share about myself, what kind of snippet I want to talk about, or how I want to present that, is to ask myself why I follow other people. Do they entertain me and make me laugh? Do they offer me inspiration? Am I just really connected to their story because they're open and I'm like, we're the same person, but you're 2 steps ahead of me? Do they offer me value and give me resources or educate me on something? We pulled a few examples from our team of individuals we feel share their old normal, their explosion, and their new normal really well. First is Shannon on the left. She's a new diamond coach. She talks about her old normal as a negative introvert, how she had walls up. She talks about how she needed change. Her explosion, she leaned in, she lost 20 pounds. But her new normal is this woman she's become that wakes up every day, presses play, and reads personal development. The second one, Erin in the center, uses smart imagery to convey that she's a work-from-home mom of 3. She talks about her old normal, how she was trapped in anxiety and lost her identity as a new mom, her explosion, reluctantly joining a challenge, and her new normal, working from home and becoming a mom boss, and invites you to join her coach mentorship. On the far right, Whitney, also a new diamond coach, drinking a yummy chocolatey drink. It doesn't say Shakeology, it doesn't say performance, but if you follow her stories and snippets, you know she has this yummy chocolatey drink every single day. And her snippets, again, aren't her story. It's the outcomes that are emerging from her challenge groups. So again, it validates her as a coach, but it also lets her audience say, if I take the next step with her, maybe that will be my outcome too. And she offers an opportunity to join her boot camp.
Those examples kind of cleared up? Anybody that's confused? Okay, great. Want to make sure you're getting stuff out of this. And I also want to say, just from like a third-party perspective, because these coaches are more on Merida's team than on my personally sponsored team, I can look at them more as somebody who's just scrolling Instagram and is like, who are these people? And so the way that I see it is that I see Shannon and I stop my scroll because smile and abs. Like, I'm just like, okay, what's her deal? That's gonna stop me to read it, right? So I will read all of that because I wanna know why she's so happy, how she got those results. You know, so your imagery has to stop people. It has to be bright, it has to be eye-catching, it has to evoke emotion and kind of trigger people in some sort of a way. And it's not always gonna be a positive trigger, but for the most part, it should be because that's gonna attract your brand, attract your people. And Erin, I would stop my scroll on the middle photo because I'm a new mom, and I want to know like why all our kids are so happy. Why does she look so happy? What's on that laptop? You know, like I'm gonna stop and read because I'm like, what is this? What's going on here? This looks like goals. And then I'm gonna stop on the third one because I mean she looks so cute and fashionable, and her shake looks delicious, and I'm not feeling like somebody's trying to like sell something to me. I'm feeling like I want to be this girl's friend. So why do you follow other people on Instagram? You have so much to learn from people that you follow that aren't coaches too, and really just try to think about why you follow them. Okay, so what did Rachel Hollis say, you guys? Knowledge is not power.
Applied knowledge is power.
So you gotta start. You're only gonna become an expert at something by practicing and practicing and practicing and practicing. I know it's not what you want to hear. You don't want to hear like I have to do the work, I have to do the work, but you gotta do the work. And you have to have, what did we learn today? A date, right? So we're gonna give you to the end of day tomorrow to do this assignment. If you want us to read it, you want us to like your post, and you want us to see what you're doing, and you can even DM me. If I have time, I'll offer feedback to you, and I know Meredith would too, and also to each other, because there's more of you than there is of us. And when you come together as a network and a community, you can learn so much from each other and help each other so much. So we want you to use exercise today, and if you're confused, talk to each other and put together your summit snippet. There's actually already summit snippets up from the workshop before, so you can actually go and cheat and look and see what they did if you want. And get your post up, hashtag it, you can tag us if you want, and take some time to read each other's, and please make sure you get it up, because remember, applied knowledge is power, and we want you guys to leave here feeling powerful and that you've done something while you were here. So thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, guys.